ahead.
Oh, Matt?
Maybe you can introduce yourself. We got
Yes.
a new recorder.
Hi, my name is Matthew Keys, and I'm a contributing editor for the Winters Express. And my goal at this moment is to not make anybody cry, but I do want to just address the elephant in the room for a moment, because I feel like I would be not only remiss in my duties as a journalist, but also as a colleague if I did not. As everyone in this room, I think, is aware, Julia is not with us today. If you are not aware, she passed away over Memorial Day weekend. She was involved in a car accident, and everyone at the Express misses her terribly, as I'm sure everybody in this room. Right down the freeway nearby Vacaville. So I am still learning the city. I'm still learning everybody here. I met some of you earlier today, and I hope to meet everybody by the end of the day, if not by the end of the month, or excuse me, the week. My job is not to replace Julia. Julia cannot be replaced. Although I'm relatively new to the community, her work is very familiar to me, as I'm sure it is to everybody sitting before me and everybody in this room. She covered this community with passion. She was from Winters. She loved being here, and she loved what she did. And as I mentioned, she cannot be replaced. My role is to carry the torch for her, and I will be working in my capacity as a contributing editor and now as a city reporter with her in mind. I cannot promise that over the next few weeks or few months I will deliver the same kind of reporting that she did. I don't think anybody could write like her. She managed to take very mundane topics and make them very interesting. And she wrote with a flavor and a flair that and over the next few months. I hope that the work that I do live up to the work that she did. To those of you who have expressed your thoughts and your prayers and sent your condolences to us, and I am including everybody in the city when I say this, we feel them and we appreciate them. And we will continue to do our jobs, and we do so with Julia in mind. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Consent calendar, John.
Mayor and Council, a lot of items on the consent calendar. Item A are the minutes from the May 15th regular meeting. Items B and C deal with our citywide assessment district. Item B is the initiation resolution for that. And then item C is approving the engineer's report, which basically goes through and determines parcelization throughout the city. Item D is our resolution dealing with our annual weed abatement program, which so far has been pretty successful over the past couple of years. A lot of compliance. Item E is a street closure request for July 3rd. Item F is a proclamation for proclaiming June 15th as World Elder Abuse Awareness Day in the city. Item G is a environmental contract for our conservation easement. This is the Elderberry easement along the North Bank Trail in Poudre Creek. Item H is an item that maybe we should drop down and talk to, because I know that there are some conflicts that we might need to resolve. So why don't we not consider that just as yet? Item I is a resolution establishing our appropriation limit. This is better known as the GAN limit. For everybody, if you get back into your 1970s and 80s garb, we had Proposition 13 in 1978. And then in the 80s, I think it was either 82 or 84, Paul Gann, who was the co-author of Proposition 13, established an appropriations limit, which is basically the maximum spending limit that a city can have. And this is setting ours. And I hope someday the vitality of Winters is so great that we reach our Gann limit. We're not even close. And item J is we've pulled that, and we'll bring that back on the 18th or the 19th.
Okay, for item H, I think I have the strongest conflict, so I will not be voting on that one at all, either financial conflict.
You're going to have to do it.
And I believe
So
Chair
John,
and Bill have a conflict due to distance from the residents.
that's correct.
So they will need to draw to see who gets to speak to that item.
So
Right.
John, did you want to pull that item, or do you want
Do
to
we-
just do the
Do we want to do it separately or do it like we usually do?
we can do it like we usually do it.
Okay.
So
We
just to explain, so Wade has a conflict due to his financial participation in the project. And so based on that being a more direct conflict, Wade has opted to not participate even if needed for the rule of necessity, which comes up when a majority of the council has a conflict. Pierre and Bill both live within 500 feet of the proposed project. And so based on that, they have a conflict based on their property interest. But because there are three members with a conflict, one of them has to participate based on the rule of necessity. But Wade is not going to participate on that because of his more direct financial involvement in the project. So Bill and Pierre get to draw walnuts to decide who will participate.
Yeah. Okay. So we have two walnuts that are going into the bag. One says stay, and the other one says go. So, who wants to?
Go ahead.
Who wants to
I
pick?
think I picked first last time.
You pick first.
This bag has many of that folder. So it says that one says stay. So
It does?
Yeah. So
Sure. Yeah, kind
it,
of.
it does.
So
Sorry.
Pierre will be voting on
Pierre-
item H. Bill
Pierre-
and myself will not.
Correct.
And because, as usual, because this is on the consent agenda, as long as it doesn't get pulled off, Nancy can just note that due to a conflict, Wade and Bill did not participate in the vote as to that item.
Okay, now that we got that all figured out, we'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the consent calendar, including items A through I.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously with the exceptions. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, we have no presentations or discussion items, so we'll move on to the city manager's report.
Couple of items. Parking committee is going to meet next Wednesday, June 13th. The Economic Development Committee, we've scheduled the first meeting for that, July 12th. The Zoning Code Revision Committee expects something from Dave Dalswell out to everybody this week, scheduling for that subcommittee to get together and start working. Our internship program kicks off this coming Monday. We're going to have 3 interns. The topics are housing, sustainability, a sustainability element for the general plan. They're going to be working a little bit on parking fines and enforcement. They'll be doing some economic stuff. They've got each one will have 2 projects out of the police department, 2 out of the fire department, and each one will have 1 out of the finance department. So this is going to be an awesome year for the internship program, and the council will get an opportunity to meet them. One of the requirements is that they are going to be bringing a couple of things forward. So they will all be presenting before the council and the Planning Commission at some time. So heads up on that. Just a heads up for the council and anybody that wants to come in and sit in on this. The League of California Cities is going to be having a briefing for city managers and something that anybody who's interested, coming up a week from Thursday at 1:30. What day is that?
And where will that be?
Here, either in my office or maybe downstairs. We can just screenshot it. It'll be on the 14th. But the topic is going to be a pretty thorough discussion regarding online sales tax and reporting situs. And for a community like ours, that could be a big deal, given the fact that the number of UPS trucks and everything that drive around this town could be pretty awesome. But we'll see whether they're going to talk about it. I would imagine that communities like San Bernardino and Patterson and everybody that has one of those Amazon facilities may have a different opinion than the rest of us. So Councilmember Biasi pointed out from the Planning Commission the issue of food trucks. A really good discussion. We really went into it. We went both sides of on the item. They actually handle it very well. There's more research that needs to be done. It's a pretty dynamic topic, but one of the things that the interns are going to work on with Dave Dowswell and myself, we'll be doing more research on food trucks and how cities are regulating them. So look for that. The other issue that came up at the Planning Commission are Airbnb. We don't have a ton of them in town, but we do have some, and we have at least one that's causing issues. So we're going to do a little bit of research on Airbnbs. We've already, the city attorney's office is looking at it from a transient occupancy tax standpoint, but just looking globally at it. But that both Airbnb and the food truck items are things that will work their way up through the Planning Commission. And then finally, had a meeting with some folks on Friday. Actually, they're from Bellevue North. And they actually brought in a full team of folks. And I was chatting with one of the people who the last time he was here was over 18 years ago when he was a grad student at UC Davis. He goes, wow, this is really a great town, really liked our downtown. And he asked me, he goes, if, besides the downtown, what would you suggest I look at that you think really defines Winters? And I told him that he needed to go down Abbey Street and go to the corner of Abbey and 4th Street and look at the playground. I go down and look at the coolest playground you can ever imagine. And I go, the city didn't build that. The community built that. And it was built over the course of about a 2-week period, almost entirely by volunteer labor. I go check that out. And if you want to see the standard that we have in town, that I think probably best defines it. And late this afternoon, I got an email from that individual, and he said, wow, that really is some playground. And my response to him is I go, well, this really is quite a community. So anyway, it's nice to have something really cool to point at besides the the downtown and other things we've got going on. And that's my report.
Okay. Go ahead, Pierre.
Just update on general plan movement or anything?
Not since my last report. I will tell you that I met with Christine Crawford and a gal by the name of Beth Thompson. She works with Genova Planning. They're the ones that did all the NEPA work for the roundabout and the Domus Affordable Senior Project. And we've kicked around some ideas. I'll be really straight with you. The one thing that I'm working on is the idea that trying to stay out of triggering CEQA on how we approach it. I've actually gone through, I've got a ton of information. And one of the things that we did talk about was the idea of, instead of calling it an update, just basically a refresh. It would take a lot of what OPR has in their guidelines, make sure that what we have is current. Nobody's talking about, well, at least from the staff standpoint, we're not talking about changing land uses or doing any type of a deep dive on anything. We want to make sure that it's current, that it's informative, and that people realize that it's a very dynamic document. And so I did sit down and chat with them, and you know, unfortunately from the meeting, they were like really good, and they gave me more homework, and I just haven't had a chance to get to it yet. So
It's a subject that comes up from the public to me. I don't know whether it's coming to others, people on the council, but I'm faced with that several times.
no, I'll include something in my Friday update this week to kind of give people a little view. One of the things I've shown most of the, well, everybody in the council's seen my little org chart on the general plan stuff. And I'm trying to figure out how to visually depict that in a lot of ways. You know, it's always good to be able to explain something and then point out and say, hey, this is what I'm talking about. And I don't have it boiled down enough to be able to do something that's really easy to see and understandable at this point. So, but I'll come up with something to at least kind of give some type of an update to folks on where we're at.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to close the meeting tonight in remembrance of Julia. We all miss her, and we're very sorry that she left us at such a young age. We enjoyed having her sitting here with us at least twice a month for the last 3 years. But, this is for Julia. Meeting closes at 6:55.
Hey, John, I have a question for you.
Sure.
What's with the Heartland Homes sign?